They say love should feel effortless, but the truth is nothing extraordinary ever is. Successful couples don't rely on luck or chemistry, they rely on consistency. That they treat their relationship like a living system that needs maintenance, not like a movie scene that plays out perfectly on its own. They know that passion fades if it's not fed back, and connection weakens if it's not protected. So they create structure where others create excuses. They build rituals, not just routines, ways to reconnect even when life gets chaotic. They understand that emotions can fluctuate, but commitment is a decision. They don't wait for things to feel good before they act right. They act right, so things keep feeling good. Back, and that difference alone changes everything about how their love evolves. When you look at couples who last, you'll notice they run their relationship like a high-performing team. They don't outsource the hard conversations or avoid friction. They lean into it because they know conflict handled well builds trust. They measure progress not in grand gestures, but in daily consistency. Heck, they talk about money, sex goals, insecurities, and dreams. The raw stuff that many avoid, because avoidance is the enemy of intimacy. They see transparency as love in its purest form. Back. They don't play mind games or wait for the other person to guess their needs. They communicate their expectations clearly, not because it's romantic, but because it's responsible. Back, they know relationships don't die from one big mistake. They erode slowly when small issues stay unspoken. Successful couples understand that partnership means balancing emotion with execution. Back, love is not just about how much you feel, it's about how well you function together. When one person is struggling, the other steps up without keeping score. They don't compete over who sacrifices more. Back. They collaborate on how to win together. They see each other as allies, not adversaries. In business, alignment drives results. In love, it drives peace. These couples hold meetings, not arguments. They set visions, not ultimatums. They talk strategy for their life the same way founders talk about growth, with clarity, data, and long-term focus. Because in the end, back, a relationship is an organization of two, and it only thrives when both people know their roles, their responsibilities, and their shared mission. Back, most relationships crumble because people assume love should feel natural, but what they really mean is effortless, and effortless doesn't scale. Successful couples don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. They know that showing up on hard days matters more than showing off on good ones. They prioritize the mundane over the magical, like checking in regularly, managing stress, keeping promises, back, and saying thank you even when it feels routine. They've built habits around care the same way entrepreneurs build habits around discipline. They don't need a reason to be kind, back. They do it because they've trained themselves to. It's not luck that keeps them connected, it's repetition. And repetition, in love just like in fitness or business, builds mastery over time, back. One thing they do differently is treat feedback as fuel, not fire. When their partner gives them criticism, they don't take it as rejection, they take it as direction. They know that growth requires discomfort, back. Instead of saying you're too demanding, they ask, what am I missing? Instead of arguing about tone, they listen for truth, it back. They aren't fragile about improvement because they're invested in the relationship's health, not their personal ego. They take responsibility faster than they take offense. They understand that every correction is a gift that helps them love better. Because when you're playing for a lifetime, you can't afford to be defensive about feedback that might save the game. It back. Another thing they do differently. They plan their future together with precision. They don't leave things like financial goals, family decisions, or personal growth up to chance. Back, they define what success looks like for them, not what society says it should be. They talk about their values the same way leaders talk about company culture. They decide what kind of life they want to build, back, and every choice, from how they spend money to how they spend time, aligns with that vision. That's why they move in sync. They're not guessing where they're going. They have a map. And when you have a map, back, you don't get lost just because the road gets bumpy. You stay the course because you've already agreed on the destination. They also understand that attraction is sustained by admiration. Back. You can't stay deeply in love with someone you no longer respect. Successful couples keep earning each other's respect. They don't let familiarity turn into complacency, showing up as the person their partner once fell in love with, but upgraded. They keep learning, growing, and becoming better versions of themselves, not to impress each other, but to inspire each other, because admiration is oxygen for long-term love. Without it, even the strongest chemistry eventually suffocates. Take it back. That's why they invest in becoming someone worth staying fascinated by, and they expect the same in return. In the quiet moments when no one's watching, that's where successful couples truly win. They don't perform their love for social media or friends. They protect it, they celebrate privately, repair quietly, and grow intentionally. It back. They don't need validation from the world because they validate each other daily. They create safety that allows vulnerability to exist without judgment. Back. They know intimacy isn't built through grand gestures, but through consistency in the small ones. The way they check in after a hard day. The way they say, I got you, instead of, I told you so. The way they make space for silence without needing to fill it with noise. That's where connection deepens. It back. They've mastered the art of balance, of being individuals within a union. They don't lose themselves in love, they amplify themselves through it. Take it back. Each partner takes responsibility for their own happiness instead of making it the other person's job. They bring a full self to the table, not half a person expecting completion. They chase personal goals, friendships, back, and health outside of the relationship because they understand that strong individuals build strong partnerships. When two people are whole, love becomes a choice, not a crutch. It shifts from dependency to synergy, from needing each other to choosing each other again and again. The biggest difference is this: they don't wait for feelings to dictate effort. They let effort protect the feelings. They know that the work doesn't make love less romantic. It makes it last. They don't fantasize about forever. They focus on doing today, right, over and over again. They understand that love is a reflection of discipline, not destiny. They approach their relationship the same way top performers approach excellence, with humility, structure, back, and a relentless commitment to improvement. Because in the end, successful couples don't love differently by accident. They just operate differently on purpose. They don't rely on spark, back. They build systems that make the spark sustainable. And that, more than anything, is what sets them apart. Most people think communication is about talking back, but successful couples know it's really about us understanding. They don't talk to win, they talk to connect. They realize that communication isn't a performance. It's a process of building trust back. When something goes wrong, they don't rush to prove their point. They pause, listen, and try to see the situation through their partner's eyes. They know that clarity kills conflict and silence feeds resentment back. So instead of bottling things up, they express themselves with honesty, not hostility. They use language that heals, not hurts. Take it back. They're not afraid of hard conversations because they know discomfort is cheaper than distance. Every time they talk openly, they make their love stronger brick by brick. When tension rises, it back. Unsuccessful couples aim to be right, while successful ones aim to make things right. They understand that ego is the biggest enemy of intimacy. They don't treat arguments like battles to be won back. They treat them like problems to be solved. They don't weaponize past mistakes to win today's fight. Instead, they focus on the present, what's happening, what they need, and what needs to change. They ask questions that reveal, not questions that accuse. They say, help me understand, not you always do this. They create emotional safety, not fear of judgment. It back. When both people feel safe enough to be honest, they stop pretending and start healing. And that's where real communication begins. Not in noise, but in understanding. Back. Successful couples also know that tone matters more than timing. They don't just say the right things, they say them the right way. They understand that a harsh truth delivered without empathy feels like an attack back, even if it's accurate. So they choose words that protect connection instead of destroying it. They know that being direct doesn't mean being disrespectful. Back. They've learned that calm doesn't mean weakness. It means control. They've trained themselves to stay composed in conflict because they value the relationship more than the rush of being right. It back. They don't raise their voice to be heard. They raise their self-awareness. That's why their communication works. It's not just what they say, it's how they say it. Most couples fail because they confuse expressing emotions with exploding emotions. Successful couples understand that emotional honesty doesn't mean emotional chaos. They take time to regulate before they communicate back. They know that a reactive conversation creates regret. So they step away when they need to, breathe, and come back with clarity. They use I statements instead of you accusations. Back, I feel hurt when this happens, opens a door. You always do this, slams it shut. They use empathy as their main strategy, not manipulation, not guilt, not silence. Back, they see every discussion as an opportunity to build, not break. And because of that discipline, their relationship becomes a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Back, they've learned that communication isn't just about talking. It's about listening with intention. Most people listen to reply. They listen to understand. They don't interrupt to defend. They pause to absorb. They don't just hear words. They pay attention to tone, body language, and emotion. When their partner feels seen and heard, walls come down. They don't rush to fix everything back because sometimes the other person doesn't need a solution. They need presence. They know that validation doesn't mean agreement. It means saying back, get where you're coming from. This kind of listening isn't passive, it's powerful. It builds trust faster than any apology could. One of their secrets is they talk before things explode back. They don't wait for resentment to pile up before addressing what's wrong. They bring things up early with calm energy and clear words. They schedule emotional check-ins the same way professionals schedule meetings. Back, not because love should be robotic, but because consistency prevents chaos. They don't wait until one person feels unheard or unseen. They make communication a ritual. Every week, every month, they ask, how are we doing? They talk about what's working and what's not. This habit prevents distance from sneaking in quietly. Get back. They handle small problems early so they never grow into something bigger than both of them. Another thing that separates them is that they take ownership. When they mess up, back. They say, I'm sorry, without adding. But they don't defend mistakes with excuses. They fix them with accountability. They understand that apologies are not weakness. They're maintenance for love. I trust myself to take it back. They take pride in their humility. They know that blame gets you points in an argument, But accountability gets you progress in a relationship. They don't let pride poison something they worked so hard to build. They'd rather admit they're wrong than risk growing distant. Every time they own their part, they reinforce trust. Because trust isn't built on perfection, it's built on responsibility. Successful couples have mastered the art of disagreeing well. They don't see conflict as a threat, they see it as feedback. They know that disagreement means diversity of thought, not disconnection of hearts. They can fight without fear of fallout because they've created a safe foundation. They don't use silence as punishment. They don't storm out just to make a point. They stay in the conversation even when it's uncomfortable. They fight fair. No character attacks, no ultimatums, no emotional blackmail. They don't aim to hurt, they aim to understand. And when it's over, they move forward, not backward. Because forgiveness isn't just about peace, it's about progress. They also know that communication doesn't stop at words. It's in the gestures, the body language, the small daily acts. A touch on the shoulder during an argument, a soft look across the room, a text that says, thinking of you, after tension. Those things speak volumes. They use nonverbal communication as a bridge when words fall short. They know that actions either reinforce or contradict what's spoken. That's why they make sure their behavior aligns with their promises. They keep their tone consistent with their intent. They repair with actions, not just explanations. Because in the end, love is felt more in behavior than in vocabulary. Most importantly, they build communication habits that last. They read together, reflect together, and grow through feedback loops. They don't assume they've mastered it, they keep practicing it like a skill. They know communication isn't a milestone, it's maintenance. It requires repetition, humility, and attention. Every conversation, every misunderstanding, every moment of honesty, it's all part of refining how they relate. They don't need to have perfect words, they just need to have pure intention. They show up, they listen, they learn, and they adjust because to them, communication isn't about talking more, it's about connecting deeper, one honest conversation at a time. Growth is the heartbeat of every lasting relationship, and successful couples understand that staying the same is the fastest way to fall apart. They know that people evolve, seasons change, and love that doesn't adapt eventually expires. So, they make growth their shared mission. They don't fear change, they plan for it. They celebrate each other's evolution instead of feeling threatened by it. When one partner levels up, the other doesn't pull them back. They cheer them on and find ways to grow alongside them. They understand that real partnership is not about staying comfortable together. It's about becoming better together. Every challenge becomes a catalyst. Every disagreement an opportunity to learn something new. They don't see growth as optional. They see it as oxygen. Most couples get stuck when one person grows faster than the other. But successful couples see that as a chance to recalibrate, not resent. They know that alignment isn't a one-time event. It's a constant process of adjusting goals, values, and priorities. They talk about their visions regularly to ensure they're still walking in the same direction. They don't guilt their partner for wanting more or less. They stay curious instead of judgmental. They ask questions like, what are you learning about yourself right now? Or how can I support this new version of you? This mindset removes competition and replaces it with collaboration. They don't take growth personally, they take it seriously. They understand that love grows best when it's watered with understanding, not insecurity. Successful couples invest in each other's dreams the same way they invest in their own. They don't see success as a solo trophy, they see it as a shared win. When one achieves something, both celebrate because the effort that led there came from teamwork. They remind each other that partnership is about helping the other person become who they're meant to be, not who they were when you met them. They push each other to take risks, to try, to fail, to get back up stronger. They understand that support isn't just about clapping from the sidelines. It's about building the environment where success feels possible. Their relationship becomes a platform for expansion, not confinement. It's where ambition is nurtured, not feared. They also know that personal growth fuels relational growth. They don't rely on their partner to complete them. They take full responsibility for their own development. They work on their mindset, health, career, and character, not just for themselves, but for the relationship's future. They've learned that the best gift you can give your partner is a better version of yourself. So they learn and challenge their own habits. They don't let laziness or ego keep them stagnant. When one evolves, it inspires the other to do the same. The energy of improvement becomes contagious. Together, they create a feedback loop of inspiration, where both people keep leveling up, not to compete, but to contribute more fully. One of their biggest strengths is that they embrace discomfort as part of the process. They don't run from hard conversations or personal accountability. They understand that growth feels like friction before it feels like freedom. So when tension arises, they don't panic. They get curious. They ask what this challenge is trying to teach them. They don't interpret struggle as a sign of failure, but as evidence that they're moving forward. They lean into discomfort knowing it's temporary, while the lessons are permanent. They understand that comfort zones are where relationships go to sleep. They keep waking theirs up by doing what's difficult, growing through what others avoid. It back. They don't cling to who their partner used to be. They make space for evolution instead of demanding repetition. They understand that the person you love will not stay the same. And that's not a threat. Back, it's a privilege. It means you get to fall in love with new layers of them over and over again. They don't say, you've changed, as an accusation. They say it as an observation followed by curiosity. They ask back, tell me who you're becoming. That question alone deepens connection more than any romantic gesture could. It says, I see you evolving back, and I'm here to meet you there. That's how they stay connected through decades of transformation. By staying fascinated, not frustrated. They also treat failure as part of growth, not the end of it. Back, when something doesn't work out, a goal missed, a habit broken, a dream delayed, they don't spiral into blame. They reflect, adjust, and try again. Get back. They have the resilience to handle setbacks without letting them turn into resentment. They understand that progress isn't linear, it's layered. They talk openly about their struggles, share lessons back, and use every fall as a way to build stronger foundations. They know that when a couple learns to fail together, they remove fear from the relationship. Because if nothing can break them, everything can grow them. Back. And that's what gives their love its power. It's tested, not fragile. They value alignment more than agreement. They don't need to think the same way. They need to move in the same direction. Back. They can disagree passionately while still working toward the same vision. They see individuality as an asset, not a threat. They give each other space to grow separately so they can return stronger together. Back. They don't lose themselves in the relationship. They expand themselves through it. They celebrate differences because they know diversity brings depth. Growth to them isn't about becoming identical. It's about becoming as compatible through evolution. They understand that unity isn't sameness, it's synergy. And that's why their love remains dynamic instead of dull. Back, they also know that growth requires boundaries. They're not afraid to say, back, I need time to think, or I need space to recharge. They understand that taking care of yourself is part of taking care of the relationship. They encourage each other to pursue hobbies, friendships, it back, and solitude because they know independence keeps love alive. They don't cling or control. They trust and support. They understand that freedom fuels passion and suffocation kills it. Back. When both partners feel safe to be themselves, they bring more to the table, more energy, more creativity, more presence. Growth thrives in an environment where both people feel trusted to evolve without judgment. And above all, successful couples see growth as the greatest act of love because when you grow, you give more patience, more wisdom, more capacity to love deeply and honestly. Tip back. They know that stagnant relationships aren't caused by lack of love, but by lack of evolution. So they treat growth like a daily ritual, not a seasonal project. Every conversation, every challenge, it back. Every shared goal is another chance to level up together. They've turned their relationship into a partnership of purpose, where love isn't just about staying, it's about rising. And every time life changes, but they don't ask, will we make it? They ask, how will we grow through this next chapter? Love isn't something that lasts because you found the right person back. It lasts because you keep choosing the same person day after day, even when it's not easy. Successful couples understand that love is not a feeling to chase. It's a commitment to maintain. Take it back. They don't rely on the excitement of the beginning to carry them through the challenges of the middle. They know that passion fades if it's not nurtured and connection weakens if it's not prioritized. So, back. They show up for the relationship like they show up for their goals, with intention, effort, and discipline. They replace fantasy with focus. They don't say, I'll try. They say, I'll do. Every small action, every thoughtful choice, every act of patience is an investment. Love for them isn't found. It's built one consistent decision at a time. It back. They understand that relationships fail not because people stop loving, but because people stop trying. They stop doing the small things that once came naturally. The texts, the compliments, the curiosity, back, the effort to understand. Successful couples refuse to let comfort become complacency. They keep dating each other even after years together. They stay intentional about learning their partner's changing needs, back, love languages, and fears. They don't say you've changed like it's a betrayal. They say it like it's a reminder to adapt. They don't let their relationship run on autopilot. They steer it consciously. Back, every day, they recommit to growing, learning, and rediscovering each other. Because in their eyes, love doesn't die, it just demands evolution. When conflict arises, they don't see it as a sign of failure. Back, they see it as proof that two different people are still trying. They know that arguments are normal, disrespect isn't. So they disagree with dignity. They don't weaponize silence or sarcasm. That they don't fight to hurt, they fight to heal. They understand that repair matters more than perfection. Back, they know that saying. I'm sorry, doesn't mean you lost. It means you care more about connection than control. They own their part, forgive quickly, and move forward instead of keeping score. Myself to take it back. They protect peace like it's sacred because they know that trust is easier to maintain than to rebuild. Their love is strong not because it's painless, but because it's patient. Back. Successful couples also know that consistency is sexier than chemistry. They realize that anyone can make you feel butterflies, but not everyone can make you feel safe. They value reliability over romance. presence over promises, and actions over words. They don't chase temporary highs, they build lasting harmony. When life gets busy, take it back. They carve out time for each other because they understand that attention is the truest form of love. They don't wait for anniversaries or milestones to express appreciation. Take it back. They do it in the middle of an ordinary Tuesday through small acts of gratitude and kindness. They show that real love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up again and again back. Especially when no one's watching, they approach their relationship like a team, not a competition. They celebrate each other's wins and shoulder each other's burdens. They never say, "That's not my problem," because they understand that in partnership, everything is shared. The stress, the dreams, the decisions. They operate with we, not me. They don't keep score of sacrifices back. They simply give because they want the relationship to thrive. They see success as something they build together, not something one achieves alone. When one person struggles, the other steps up without resentment. It back. When one rises, they both rise. Their love isn't transactional, it's transformational. It's rooted in the belief that two people who serve each other selflessly can create something stronger than either could alone. It back. They've also learned that commitment is not about never being tempted. It's about never giving in to what threatens your foundation. They guard their relationship like an asset, not an afterthought. It back. They don't let distractions, pride, or ego destroy what they've worked so hard to build. They stay aware of what could break them and stay proactive about protecting it. Back. They don't flirt with danger just to feel alive. They keep their love alive through effort and excitement within the relationship. They make sure appreciation doesn't fade into assumption. Take it back. They don't wait until it's too late to realize what they have. They nurture it daily like something precious because they know that anything valuable deserves attention. Back. Successful couples also understand the balance between individuality and unity. They know that a relationship doesn't mean losing yourself. It means bringing your whole self to something greater. Back. They maintain their personal goals, friendships, and passions, and they encourage their partner to do the same. They don't demand constant togetherness to feel secure. They trust deeply. Back, knowing that space strengthens connection when it's rooted in respect. They support each other's growth without jealousy because they're not competing. They're collaborating. Back, they know that two fulfilled individuals create a fulfilled relationship. They've learned that love doesn't limit your world, it expands it. When both people thrive independently, it back. The relationship flourishes collectively. They don't expect love to feel perfect every day. They know that sometimes it feels effortless and other times it feels like work. Back. They don't panic when the spark dims. They reignite it. They don't let hard seasons convince them that it's over. They remind themselves why they started. They hold on to perspective when emotions get heavy. They know that every relationship has cycles, growth, stagnation, repair, renewal, and they ride those waves with grace instead of fear. It back. They understand that the key is not avoiding friction, but learning how to move through it without losing connection. Love to them is not fragile, it's forged through friction. And they never stop expressing gratitude. It back. They don't take their partner for granted just because time has passed. They notice the little things, the morning coffee, the check-ins, the patience, the presence. Gratitude keeps their relationship grounded. Back, it reminds them that what they have is rare, worth protecting, and worth fighting for. They say thank you as often as I love you. They compliment often and criticize thoughtfully. Back. They choose appreciation over assumption because they know that love grows where it's acknowledged and dies where it's ignored. They don't just expect effort, they celebrate it every single day. Back. What successful couples do differently isn't magic, it's mindfulness. They understand that love isn't something you fall into, it's something you rise into over and over again. Back. They make conscious choices that protect connection and prioritize peace. They show up when it's inconvenient, love harder when it's uncomfortable, and commit deeper when it would be easier to walk away. Take it back. They understand that real love is built through seasons, through laughter, struggle, growth, and grace. And every day they choose each other again. It back. That's what makes their love timeless. Not because it's perfect, but because it's all persistent. They don't wait for forever to happen. They create it one intentional choice at a time.